Hi, everybody. My name is Kyle. I'm going to be talking to you about downtown revitalization efforts in my hometown of Fall River, Massachusetts. So, just to give a little bit of context, Fall River has been given the title of the Spindle City. It was once one of the leading cities in the world, second to London in producing cotton textiles. So, you can imagine during the industrial era that it was a very vibrant time. It was a very wealthy city. And as a result, downtown was booming at the intersection of North and South Main Street. We've got these busy mills, heavy pedestrian traffic. There's trolley lines connecting the city, and local businesses are doing great. But as with other legacy cities in the post-industrial era, we see a sharp decline in the status of downtown and of the city as a whole, as these mills are leaving and closing, and people are moving out. So, just look at these couple of images I found online. We see just how beautiful downtown was a century ago. We've got a lot of pedestrian traffic, a lot of transit lines going back and forth, and we've got amazing architecture. It was a really nice place. But then what happens? The construction of Interstate 195 really does throw this landscape into a serious turmoil. It divides the city into two, and it resulted in a city over here that the northern side is the more affluent side with the mill owners, and the southern side over here is where a lot of the immigrant population who are working at the mills are. And this creates a strong socioeconomic divide and destroys the town and city in irreparable ways. So you start to ask the question of what does Fall River's downtown look like today? Well, of course, there's no more trolley lines and pedestrian traffic has significantly declined, but so is the success of the local businesses. There were fewer family owned shops and restaurants, and buildings that were once so important have now been filled in by things like Boost Mobile, tattoo shop, vape shop, like things that aren't really incentivizing people to visit downtown by foot. So, for a lot of people, myself included, right now downtown is just a way to get from the north side of the city to the south side and back. And for that reason, it's a problem. When you look here on the map, talking about a big city of Fall River with 92,000 people, downtown is this little circle over here. And what you'll see is the North Main Street right here, meeting at City Hall and intersecting with South Main Street. And if you look at this Google Street View that I took this morning, you'll see just how nice these buildings are and the potential for really strengthening this. The buildings are there for that. So exit out of that. So now when we look at things from a more empirical perspective, you look at median household income in the downtown area, it's substantially less than in the northern side or in the peripheries. Likewise, the poverty rate is a lot higher towards the center of the city. We've got a lot more houseless people. And when you compare it with the other parts of the city, you see that it's a lot stronger in downtown. Similarly, when you look at the percentage of the population with a bachelor's degree or higher, downtown seems to be trailing the other parts of the city. And lastly, property values of any properties with a value of $300,000 or more in downtown, which you hope to be the area with your highest property value, you're seeing um, a lot less value in land and in the things around it. So when you look at a downtown, there are really 8 points that prove just how a strong downtown is so important. It increases the appeal of a city. It provides culture and a soul to communities, and it helps unite people. It helps represent your businesses and your local families and community projects, and also reduces sprawl by concentrating all the activity centrally. You're avoiding people from going to the peripheries and moving out. Additionally, it serves as a major employer. It increases property values. And lastly, it stimulates your local economy. It brings people in from other towns, and that serves as something for tourism. So, when you look at revitalization, I came up with 5 simple strategies that I think we should adopt going forward. First off, is just improving the accessibility of the area. You want to make the infrastructure a lot stronger by repairing roads, adding bike lanes, fixing your crosswalks, and adding more sidewalks so that people can walk up and down the streets and be free to just leave their car behind and stroll up and down the streets. Second, you can waive building fees or provide zoning exceptions so that local family owned businesses, bars, and venues can be incentivized to come to the area. Third, you can revisit your zoning ordinances to override traditional Euclidean zoning and then adopt mixed use zoning so that these buildings where it's like 4 stories, your first floor can serve as a store or a bar, whereas your other three floors can be used as housing. And that's something that I think a lot of buildings in Fall River could become. Fourth, you look at the studies that have been done with parks and how beneficial they are to people's health and a city overall. Expanding revitalization efforts to Kennedy Park. You can plant new trees, flowers, add new park benches, restore the courts, and so on and so forth. But providing a nice area for people to go and sit in a park and just have a good time can really build your placemaking and strengthen your downtown. And lastly, and probably most importantly, in the midst of gentrification and your rising prices and rent, providing adequate affordable housing for low income families and households, especially minority households, is going to be important in making sure that while these changes are happening and the strengthening of the city is taking place, you're not forcing people out. You want to protect your people that make up your city and protect the people that are bringing money to your businesses or founding your local restaurants and bars. So you really do want to give them a place, a sense of being in your downtown. And by providing affordable housing, you're really giving them a platform to do that. So I'm hoping to see the city adopt some of these strategies going forward. But there's a lot of work to be done. So I'll leave it there and thank you. Have a good night.